I'll introduce myself. My name's Casey Cowan. I kind of do a couple roles. I've spent 30 years, or be 30 years in April, as an ag banker. The last number of years, I was with Dakota State Bank for almost 20 years. We merged with First Dakota National Bank in 2015. So I house out of an office here in Pierre. And then I grew up on a ranch northwest of Pierre, up in the Peoria Flats area, where my folks have been since, I think, 1964. And I came along a little while after that, and we ranched there somewhat with my brother and with my parents there. And then we have a small local beef business that we sell 30 to 40 head of locally processed animals a year in the local area. So that's a little bit about me. And if we could, with the panelists that are on, if we could just go around the room, if you will, and introduce yourself, who you're with, and a little bit about yourself, that'd be great. I'm just looking at my screen here, and Judge Jessup is at the top of the screen, so I'll kick it off with you and go on to Glenn and Heidi, if we could.
Thank you, Casey. I'm better. I will tell you, I have a face for radio, not a face for Zoom. Judge Jessup, I'm the executive director of the South Dakota Grasslands Coalition. I live at Presho, grew up there, crammed 4 years of college into 6 at Brookings. I've been in farm for a while, and then I went to work for the coalition in October 01. So I've been right there with him for 20 years. And basically the gist of our organization is anything related to grasslands that can be grazing, or it can be just grasslands, to do something to make them more profitable and sustainable for the producers.
Thank you. Glenn?
Yes, Glenn Muller, thank you. Graduate SDSU, been with the Port Council here, executive director of the Port Council for the last 11 years, and background in the pork industry, worked at Smithfield for 13 years prior to coming over here. And so working for our pork producers to advocate for freedom to operate and doing the research, promotion, and education activities.
Thank you. Heidi.
Hello, I'm Heidi Zwinger. I am with Ag United for South Dakota as the outreach director. Grew up on a dairy farm in Northwest Minnehaha County, worked on a large dairy in Minnehaha County for about 18 years, and came over to Ag United about a year ago. So we do a lot of consumer outreach things. We're funded by pork and soybean and corn and beef, poultry, dairy, and Farm Bureau. I might have missed someone, but so we represent a lot of ag organizations, not everyone, obviously, but do what we can to help share ag story.
Thank you. Bonnie.
My name is Bonnie Dibidall, and I am representing South Dakota Soybean today, and I'm the program manager here. And that means that I do a lot of our events as well as outreach. I too was brought up on a farm in Northeast South Dakota, now live near Colton, and married and have 3 kids, and my husband and all of the kids, we are all in agriculture, so been a passion forever.
Thank you. James.
Can you hear me all right?
You bet. Thank you.
All right, cool. James Halverson. I'm the executive director for the South Dakota Stock Growers Association. I've been with them for about 4 years. Previous to that, I spent about 15 years as a high school ag instructor and FFA advisor. I grew up south of Canton, South Dakota. So I kind of grew up in the eastern part of the state, and now my office is in Rapid City and live by the Black Hills. And we also run a cow-calf operation, put up some forage, that kind of stuff. So happy to be a part. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for coming on, everyone. Thank you to our other participants listening in. I guess just to kind of set the table here, as far as questions, I don't think we'll necessarily wait till the end of our discussion. If something comes up that's kind of topical on what the current discussion is, we'll look and see if we can, bring those questions in to our discussion at the time that they come up. I guess the direction I had from Tiffany was, a roundtable discussion that's, centered on the importance of, and I think we all believe this, or we wouldn't be on the meeting here, but coming together and as an industry and building, on pillars that we can align with. That being said, my understanding is in some previous meetings and discussions through the foundation, they've kind of came together, if you will, on three pillars: creating a good product, caring for the land and preserving that land for future generations, and the fact that kind of in whatever business you're in, the need to make a profit. That being said, I guess I'd like to just kind of open it up for discussion on the thoughts by the group here on those three pillars, and if there are other pillars that you've maybe thought of, or if these have been circled around somewhat where, we feel pretty good about focusing in on those, I guess, if you will. Just anyone jump in, please. Okay, if not, I'm going to pick on people. Heidi, just in your position, I mean, with Ag United, it seems like I don't know much about your organization, but that's probably the cornerstone of what you folks are trying to do, is figure out how to, bring all aspects of agriculture together. So, share with us your thoughts on the pillars and so on.
No, I guess everything is built on pillars, so it's good that you have them. The biggest thing, yes, we try to really convey that everybody in agriculture in South Dakota does their best to take care of the land and use resources wisely, to care for their animals well, and also to create that good product, because it starts really planting the seeds and growing the animals from a young age. That's the beginning of that ag product, and then you kind of hand it off to somebody else and hope they do the best they can with it. And that's where you need to make a profit comes in. Obviously, we want to do the best we can, but we also want to get paid a livable wage to do that.
Great, thank you. Bonnie, from your perspective, I mean, on the soybean, from you guys' vantage point, what do you see out there?
I guess that, we too really appreciate working together with other organizations. That's been a focus that we've really attempted to work pretty hard at, I guess, because we really feel that working together is going to make a difference when we're just visiting, with consumers at our events, and when we're doing different things on social media and things. If it shows a joint effort and that we're supporting what each other are really doing, that we'll have a better connection in the end with consumers and others. And so we've really tried to, I guess, make those connections and be a part of a lot of things out there in order to try to make those connections.
Thank you. And when we were visiting the other day, when you talk about bringing everyone together, what you articulated was the different groups, whether you're a cattle guy, a corn guy, soybean, what have you, on trying to work to promote together. Could you expand on that a little more? I think that's what you're alluding to here. Yeah.
Yes. I guess one of the things that we did a couple of years ago, and it wasn't just us that did it, it was due to just a lot of discussion, is to have a Uniting Ag Social. And that is where everyone comes together at an event and just basically visits and gets, an opportunity to talk to a lot of the people that we don't necessarily see often, but need to probably just connect with to get to know them better. And as a part of that, perhaps, go to events that they have and learn more about what they are doing. We all have so many things that we work on and focus on in our own groups, but an education of more in depth of what some of the other groups are doing would be a result of getting together, visiting, networking, et cetera. And so that Uniting Ag Social that is just going to be hosted in Sioux Falls coming up on the 8th of December is something that we hope will be that, a step toward just what we're doing today, really.
Great, thank you. Glenn, your thoughts on, the three pillars that I think have been previously discussed with the Ag Foundation, and maybe how that ties in with the group that you lead.
Yes, you look at taking one at a time, creating a good product. That's been a concern of ours all the time. Those that are in the meat business, whether it be beef, cattle, sheep, are probably closer to the consumer. We utilize the grain products to produce our product, but we saw the implications through the COVID of disruption in the food chain when we weren't able to harvest those animals, and how critical that was and the impact that had, and how much crisis that created amongst consumers. It's a major concern. We've got our programs in place like pork quality assurance and trucker quality assurance, that we certify our producers that they're following the practices that are for best animal well-being and maintaining the environment, taking care of the land, moving into the next segment of the second pillar. And so we feel that, we got improvement to do, but we're definitely concerned about those areas. And the need to make a profit, I think we all realize that. I think the unified message becomes more and more important as we look at it, just because of the continue to have a decrease in the percentage of folks involved in particularly production agriculture. And the other thing I think we see is a migration from the urban population from having contact with production or having any knowledge of what modern production looks like. And so they make assumptions or have a fear of the unknown that we're not able to address, or we need to have a unified message to address that agriculture is still working in the best interest of the consumers, and we're still out here trying to produce a safe food supply.
No, that's great. And I think that, that's a challenge that all of us have, right? Is the continued disconnect between the farm and the consumer, just because of the migration away from the rural areas. And, we're getting generations removed from agriculture. And, I'm sure you all see that as well, but, even, just in South Dakota, you wouldn't think especially rural South Dakota, you'd think that folks are maybe more knowledgeable, or we might take that for granted. And that's simply not the case. That I think a big challenge for all of us is to continue to educate the consumers and have them understand what's going out here, in the challenges in agriculture and what we're trying to do. I'm going to pick up on your comments on the, the quality assurance and animal welfare. And those are the types of things that are, in my opinion, continue to be, are going to be more and more important. Mr. Halverson, what are your thoughts on some of that around the pillars and things going on in your business?
Well, and I think to add to what Glenn said, we're probably pretty similar situations. Yeah, we want to create a good product. We want to care for the land. We want to make a profit. One of the things I think is important to remember, most of us that are in, animal production, livestock production, and ultimately in meat production, most of those people consume the very product that they eat. And I don't mean they go to some store and buy pork or beef. I raise beef, I sell beef, but I also take one of them to the locker every year and I eat what I produce. And I think that that's really key. And if we can continue to tell that story, that resonates with consumers.